Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for convening this hearing. Since this committee met in December of last year, not only has anti-Semitism on college campuses grown worse, it has also morphed into anti-American rhetoric as well. And several institutions that we've heard today have placated the mob of violent protesters who have terrorized Jewish students. And we all worry, I think, about what the situation will look like when classes resume at the end of the summer. At an earlier hearing, I'd asked about the impact of foreign money from adversarial nations or nations that don't have our own interest in mind, the impact of that money on domestic higher education system. For example, Qatar has contributed $4.7 billion to U.S. academic institutions from 2001 to 2021. It's the same country that harbors leaders of Hamas in Doha, finances Hamas, and blamed Israel for the October 7th attacks. The University of Pennsylvania, in my state, received $130 million in donations from China from 2018 to 2023, including from individuals with ties to the CCP. And of course, that's the same CCP which has falsely accused Israel of being an oppressor nation and took the side of South Africa in calling Israel's response to the October 7 terror attacks a genocide. Mr. Podlesny, and I hope I got the name close to right, most higher education institutions are tax-exempt organizations under Section 501c3 of the Internal Revenue Code. This was discussed briefly, but when this section of the tax code was created, do you believe it was intended to be leveraged by foreign governments?
Absolutely not. You know, I said a moment ago, I think you may have not been in the room, that the university's tax-exempt status is based on their being organized and operated exclusively for educational purposes. And I think if you go back 50 years, that probably is true of the vast majority of universities. They take educating very seriously. Today, you know, I'm in the habit of recommending that young people don't go to an elite university, as when I was a university professor, or that they don't go to an R1 research university, because the faculty are in their labs doing research, they're mentoring their graduate students, and they aren't interested in undergraduate education. So today, our university systems, or our multiversities, they are not focused on education, right? They are focused on disseminating an ideology, right? Administrative spending is through the roof. Some universities have more administrators than they have undergraduates.
So you would agree that it certainly is not within the spirit of the law for foreign governments to directly or indirectly promote their agendas at colleges and universities?
Of course not. You know, the New York Times.
Do you think, and I'm sorry, I just don't have a lot of time. Do you think these institutions that receive foreign donations should be subject to taxes on those donations?
I think that's an idea worth exploring, because the only way to change behavior will be financial levers.
Do you know if foreign universities, just by comparison, do they accept donations or grants from American citizens, institutions, or the federal government? That's
not something I've studied.
Yeah, and I wonder if they do, how do foreign countries regulate or monitor those grants? Do you have any, do you know at all?
I'm not aware, no.
Mr. Marcus, you've seen how the Education Department has failed at properly enforcing Title VI. Do you believe that foreign donations, which fund certain faculty fellowships or departmental chairs, have influenced the curriculum at these institutions?
Foreign governments and foreign entities are pumping a large amount of money into U.S. universities, and it's hard to imagine that it is having no influence, and particularly no deleterious influence. At the same time, I would have to say that we're doing a weak job on our own, particularly when it comes to our elementary and secondary schools, which are now themselves also a source of anti-Semitism, which then creates worse problems in higher education.
Sure. What transparency do we have now, or what could we do to ensure that there is transparency around these foreign grants, which potentially shape the school curriculum?
We do have rules that require disclosure of foreign contributions to U.S. universities, but weak enforcement systems and little in the way of penalties when they fail to do so. As a result, there has been widespread failure to report over the years.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.